guys, this is Haley from 101rabbits.com, and today I am with Amanda from
MyPets1031,
and today we're going to be doing a Q&A video. The questions weren't really person specific always, so I guess some of these can be both of us. So the first question is, why did you name your pets the things you did?
I named Phantom because he looks kind of like a scary ghost, and Phantom was better than Ghost.
And I named Mocha because I just thought of it one day and I thought it was a really cool name, but I was actually going to name him Snickers before. So he went with like a month long without having a real name. And then Lulu, I did not name her. She came with the name. Your favorite or dream rabbit breed?
I really like English spots. English spots. Phantom, I think he is part English spot, so that's kind of why I picked him.
Okay. I've always wanted a Netherland dwarf, so that's probably the one I would pick. How did you bond with your rabbits? I think I mostly started bonding with them once I had them free range in my room, and because then they were just always out around me and I don't know, pet them a lot and I was just always with them. How do you get rid of rabbit poop and pee smell? So pretty much rabbits poop and pee don't smell very bad considering like other animals like cats and dogs. So pretty much my rabbits don't really even stink that bad. As long as they're spayed and neutered, you will not smell much of anything, because like I have had baby rabbits before and their urine just stinks like crazy, but once you get them fixed it just goes away.
And I also think that like if you clean their litter box regularly, and their cage, and you just make sure that you aren't leaving like unnecessary pee and poop in the cage, it will also help with the smell.
This question is, what food is good for rabbits? So I'm assuming they mean like pelleted food, because of course like veggies and stuff, that would take forever to list them all. But for pelleted food, I think I mostly recommend, I use oxbow and you use Sherwood.
There's this brand called Sherwood Forest you can get online. I mean, it's not really like the best kind of food you can get, but it's pretty good and it has all of the correct requirements.
Yeah, and I think there is some other brands as well. I do know Oxbow is like the main one. You can find it at PetSmart and stuff. What's some good rabbit chew toys? So my rabbit's favorite is Willow, and they also like chewing on cardboard and stuff. And
like apple chews too can be really good.
Oh yeah, the apple tree twigs or whatever. Is it necessary to feed pellets? So there's kind of a controversy, is that what you would say? Contradiction. Yeah, like people don't really know what, like people disagree on this. I don't really know what I believe. I don't really know. I mean, I think pellets are good and they provide necessary nutrition and stuff, but I personally don't give a lot of pellets because of my vet's recommendation not to, because of past urinary tract infections. So I don't really know. People don't really know if it's a necessity or not. I'd say just give a small amount every day, unless your vet recommends you otherwise.
Okay, so now we're going to do some of the questions from Haley's video. The first one is, how do I start agility training with my rabbits? You want to go first?
You have more knowledge on that than me.
I have trained 3 rabbits in agility, and pretty much I have always used like a tool to kind of guide them. So I clicker train them, and then I train them to follow this stick over the jumps. But I've also heard of a way where you can do it with a harness, which I think would be more effective because that is what you would use if you were going to show jump them. So if you're looking to do something for like 4-H or something where you would actually go to a fair and have the rabbits jump a course, then you would have to do it with a harness, and you would have to verbally train them, which is a little bit more difficult.
The way I did it, I did not clicker train just because I think Mocha's almost deaf, so he didn't really understand it. So pretty much just what I did is I just took the treat and led them over the jump. I did use a target tool too, and I smothered it was like a raisin on it, so it smelled really good, so the rabbits would just follow it around. So that's pretty much just what I did.
Yeah, the reason I like clicker training is because then when you move on to like tunnels and doing like more, like a bigger course with more than one jump, you can click after the whole course so they don't think they just have to do one jump.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a video on my channel about that too. What advice would you recommend to first-time rabbit owners?
Okay, so I think I would recommend doing a lot of research. Personally, I like the House Rabbit Society and BinkyBunny.com. Just like research as much as you can about rabbits, health, and how to take care of them and everything. That just really helped me a ton when I first got my rabbits, and
I think that like having a cage already set up and like having all the food and supplies that you need would also help.
yeah, so you're not just running around at the last minute.
So this person says, "How are you today?"
I sound very funny, but otherwise I'm good.
I'm good. Why did you start YouTube?
I think I started YouTube more as a hobby. I saw other people doing YouTube and I thought it looked really fun, like other guinea pig people, and I couldn't find any rabbit people like at all. Like when I first started YouTube, there was like no big rabbit people out there, like no one was doing any videos on rabbits really, so I was like, well, I should start doing videos on rabbits. So yeah, that's just why I started.
Yeah, that was pretty much the same for me. I found all those guinea pig people and there were no rabbit people. And that was like 3 years ago, maybe more than that. And so I created a channel and I started like recording little things about how I took care of my rabbit, who was Phoebe at the time. And then I guess I just kind of grew. Why did you choose to get your rabbit and not a different animal?
Well, I wasn't actually looking for a pet. I went to my friend's birthday party and they had rabbits, and I fell in love with a Mocha, and I had been wanting a rabbit for a long time. Like, whenever I'd see one, I would ask my parents and they'd always say no. But then that day I asked my mom and she said maybe. So we ended up getting a rabbit, but I am really mad at myself now for not doing any research, but anyway, yeah, I wasn't looking for a pet, so that's why I just ended up with a rabbit.
I wasn't really looking for a pet either. My friend Jade had rescued a rabbit from the Eagle Center. They were going to feed her to the eagles, so they went and they rescued her, but they were moving, so they couldn't have a rabbit, and they had just gotten rid of their 2 rabbits. And so they were going to give the rabbit to this other boy in my class, but then somehow I convinced my mom to let me have it, and we went and we took it home. How can you stop your rabbit from chewing cables?
Pretty much the main thing is just protecting them. You need to you can get cord protectors from like home improvement stores, like I don't know, Home Depot, Menards. I don't think they have Menards everywhere though. And just places like that. They have multiple different kinds you can get. Personally, I do not like the corrugated ones. I don't know if that makes sense, but they're like really bumpy and they're like thin plastic. I don't like those just because Lulu chews right through them. So there are like heavier duty ones you can get. And also just supervising your rabbit and just blocking them off with gates and other things like that.
X-pens and those things, what are they called? Those
NIC grids?
Yeah, those grids that you can get at Target or Walmart. So this person says, I got a Flemish Giant and I have him in a 10x5 dog cage outside. Is that big enough?
So personally, the Flemish Giant, she said, was like 27 pounds and like really long or whatever. Personally, Flemish Giants, in my opinion, I think it's really hard to find good cages for them just because they are so big. Now the 10x5 cage does sound okay, but obviously I don't recommend rabbits ever living outside, so I'd personally recommend you put your rabbit inside and have them free range. That's just my opinion. Just because Flemish Giants are so big, it's hard to find cages that are suitable for them.
Or if you just had like a room for them, maybe even an X-pen. What age should you get male rabbits neutered?
So most vets require male rabbits to be 4 months of age. I did have one vet that said 6 months, but I personally don't think he was knowledgeable. So pretty much 4 months for males and 6 months for females.
Who inspired you to go on YouTube?
I think it was actually Piggy Pig Pigs, just because I watched her a ton when I was first starting out.
I think mine was Guinea Piggies Forever. Have you ever heard? Yeah. What food do your rabbits eat?
My rabbits have about 6 or so cups of vegetables a day. That's just a whole bunch of leafy greens that I give them. I split it up between morning and night, and then they have unlimited access to hay and water.
Phantom gets somewhere between an eighth and a fourth a cup of pellets, and he also gets hay. I give him hay in the morning and in the night, and he also gets veggies, I think about a cup and a half at night. How should I go about gaining my rabbit's trust?
So I think I would suggest sitting on the floor or laying on the floor with your rabbit. Just because sitting on a couch or anything, it's not really personal, and your rabbits, you're just so much bigger and not on their level with them. So try to get down on their level and just like read a book or something. Also, when you first get your rabbit, I see this a lot with people, and it drives me crazy when I see it. People have a scared rabbit and they take their hand and they reach it out for them, and the rabbit acts aggressively towards them, and the people get upset and sometimes return the rabbit because they think the rabbit's aggressive, but they're just acting out of instincts. When your rabbit is scared, you never want to just like reach for them. You just want to sit and wait for your rabbit to come up to you, and eventually your rabbit will be fine with you reaching your hand out and petting them. But until your rabbit is, just let them sit there. Just sit there and let your rabbit come up to you.
Or if you keep their cage in like a central location of the house so that they see you like all throughout the day, that might help. Do you think if I have a humidifier in my room, it will help with my asthma because I have a bunny?
So I think personally, I don't know about a lot about asthma, so I'm just gonna wing it here, but I don't think a humidifier is going to help too much. I mean, it will help with the dry air, but I think what you would rather get is an air purifier, because that will clean the air of hair and dust particles, and that should really help.
Yeah, and also making sure that you dust a lot and vacuum daily.
Yeah.
Where did you get Mocha and Lulu?
I got Mocha, like I said before, from my friend. They had rabbits, and I went over there and picked one out. And then Lulu I actually got from my sister's friend. They had 2 rabbits at the time, and one escaped the cage they had. They were outdoor rabbits. One escaped and got killed by a fox, and Lulu had been attacked, but she survived somehow, and they didn't really like Lulu because they said she wasn't friendly, so they said, if you want this rabbit, you can have it. So I had never met the rabbit before. I got in the car, drove to her house, picked her up, and took her home.
How often do you clean your rabbit's cage and litter box?
I don't always count like the days. Normally it's about every 3 days. I always clean the cage and the litter boxes all at the same time.
I clean box like every other day or every 3 days, and I clean his cage usually on the weekends. How do you take care of a rabbit that has just been spayed?
You're going to want to make sure you follow your vet's instructions, obviously, but also the main tips that a lot of people say is you don't want your rabbit to be jumping around a lot. That means if your rabbit has levels in its cage, either put them in a temporary cage or block the levels off so they're only on the base floor, because the jumping could cause the stitches to rip. So a lot of people suggest using a litter box that is that one side is cut down really low so they barely have to jump to get in it. Some people use the bottom of their carrying case, like their kennel. Just put litter on the bottom of that. And you also want to make sure you check their stitches a lot, make sure they're not infected, make sure they're eating and drinking. That is very important. And do you have anything to add?
I think that using like those Carefresh bedding or just fleece would work the best because it's a lot softer. And like when Haley said, you have to make sure that they aren't getting infected. You want to look for redness or being hot to the touch. How did you guys get so many viewers and subscribers?
So when I started, I didn't have like any, of course. Pretty much what I started doing is just I just made videos like all the time. Like pretty much I just made videos constantly. Like I always made them, I always uploaded them. I did a ton, and every video I uploaded I would gain a few more subscribers or viewers. So I just uploaded a ton of videos.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you have to do. So then this person asks, how did Phoebe pass away? So pretty much we don't really know how Phoebe passed away. It had been back when Toby and Phoebe had been free range in my room, and when I woke up that morning she had been fine, and so I went to school, and when I came back I didn't check on the rabbits like I always did when I got home. I don't know what I was doing, but I just didn't check on them. And when I went to go check on them maybe an hour or so after I got home from school, Toby came running up to me, and I picked him up and I was cuddling him, and I turned around to look for Phoebe, and she was laying on her side with her head bent in this really awkward position on the floor. And so my dad thinks that maybe she had a seizure, but my other guess is that she jumped on top of the food bin that we had because she was laying right next to it, and maybe she fell off and broke her neck, but I'm not really sure. What do you bring when you're going to neuter your rabbit at a vet, and what do you expect?
So what you would bring when you're going to fix your rabbit is pretty much bring their kennel with something soft on the bottom. I have a homemade crate bed thing that I bought from Etsy that I really like, but any fleece or towel will work. Also bring some hay, quite a bit of hay, just in case your rabbit happened to stay the night. Most of the time your rabbit will come home the same day, but if they aren't eating, sometimes your vet will have them stay the night as a precautionary. So just bring lots of hay, bring a lot of their pelleted food.
So this person asks, I know Haley is homeschooled, but what about MyPets1031? And I am not homeschooled, I go to public school. So how long have you been homeschooled for?
Me? My whole life. I've never been to public school.
If you had to keep one pet, which one would you keep?
I am not going to answer that question.
I don't think that's a very fair question because, I don't know, it's really hard to choose.
Yeah, I can't pick favorites, especially the only pets I own is Mocha and Lulu, and there's no way I could pick between them.
Yeah.
No way.
I own most of the pets in our house, and I just don't think I could choose. That'd be too hard.
Yeah.
Have you had a name for your hermit crab?
No. I'm kind of holding off naming him until after he molts, because currently I don't know if he's going to survive his molts, so I don't really want to think of a name. I don't know. I haven't seen him in like a month, so I haven't really been thinking about a name. But if he does come up from his molts, then I'll probably think of a name eventually.
How do I introduce my dog who's afraid of everything and my rabbit? I don't think I would. This doesn't sound very safe.
Yeah, see, I've never had a dog personally, and I've heard a lot of stories of dogs killing rabbits, but I've also heard a lot of stories where dogs are perfectly fine. I personally think if your dog is extremely well behaved and they are really good with commands like sit, stay, and whatever.
But their prey drive is also really important.
Yeah. So I don't know. You have to take extreme caution when doing it. I'd suggest asking someone who owns dogs. I've never owned a dog, so I have no idea how to go about this. I know a friend of mine, she would start with the rabbit in the cage and the dog on a leash outside of the cage, so there's no possible way they could get hurt. I don't know. So I would personally go ask someone who knows more about this subject.
Yeah, when my aunt lived with us, we had a dog here, and when we introduced the two of them, we just put Grace on a leash and showed her the cage, and I remember Phoebe went over and went right up to Grace, and Grace started wagging her tail and sniffing her, and then they got along, so we just let Phoebe out of the cage, and whenever Grace was getting too rough, we would just tell her to be gentle, and she just calmed down. It somehow worked. How did you convince your parents to keep your rabbit inside?
Well, that was, for me, it was an extremely long process. For those of you, I haven't really mentioned this on my channel a lot, but Mocha and Lulu were outdoor rabbits when I first got them, till about 8 or so months, until they were about 8 months old or so. So pretty much I didn't know rabbits could be housed inside. When I found out they could and that they should be for safety, I asked my mom about it, and pretty much the main concern was they're going to stink and they're going to be messy. So it was a really long process. Finally I convinced her to let the bunnies in the house, and after they were in the house, it was still a long battle of like, I'm going to put them outside if you don't do this. So yeah, you pretty much, it's really hard when you don't have parents who, it's hard because rabbits, when they were kids, weren't pets. They were like livestock, so it was really hard to change their perspective. And now obviously they're completely fine with having the rabbits indoors.
I've never had an issue with that. You could have any animal in the world, what would it be?
I think I would want a guinea pig. That's something I really want. Although right now, at this moment, I really want a horse. But I've already had one, so I don't know if that still counts, but yeah. Right now I'd want a horse. If I couldn't have a horse, then I'd want a guinea pig.